Welcome to another episode of Standing in the Gaps Highlights. The Unfiltered Truth. Exposing the Rhinos, a movement beyond politics. Introduction. The latest episode of Standing in the Gaps delves deep into a wide range of topics, from political commentary to spiritual insights. Hosted by the dynamic trio Richy Errico, the Mann, and Scott Whittier, the podcast defines itself as more than just a medium for discussion. It's a movement. The show's latest episode, titled, Hear ye, the Rhinos are coming, pulls no punches as it scrutinizes cultural complacency, spiritual hypocrisy, and political deception. Episode highlights. The show starts with Richy Errico setting the stage for what promises to be a night of thoughtful, and at times, incendiary conversation. He is joined by his partner Aaron, known as the Mann and Scott Whittier, who contributes a prayer and incites robust dialogue. The movement. Standing in the Gaps is touted as more than a podcast. It's a movement aimed at societal reform by addressing both cultural and spiritual issues. Richy Errico emphasizes this by stating that it's about taking our country back and taking our eyes off ourselves and putting it on other people. Capitalism versus compassion. Richy dives into the contentious subject of capitalism, labeling himself a compassionate capitalist. He argues that the biblical principles of the kingdom of God should sustain this world and not be twisted into self-serving ideologies. He criticizes both extremities, including liberals who he believes demonize capitalists, and conservatives who hide behind their wealth. Call to action. Richy's impassioned plea for unity and action is evident throughout the podcast. He challenges listeners to step beyond their comfort zones. When's the last time you took your coworker who's hurting to lunch? When's the last time you prayed for your coworker? His message is crystal clear. True change begins when individuals start caring genuinely for others. Unity amidst diversity. Scott picks up the conversation, delving into what makes America unique: its diversity. Yet, he notes this strength has been weaponized to create division. He invokes historical analogies and biblical teachings to argue for a unified approach to tackling society's biggest issues. His passionate plea urges Americans to prioritize national unity over political identity. Political commentary. The hosts do not shy away from addressing the elephants in the room, literally. They discuss the role of Rhinos, Republicans in name only, exposing the deceit within political structures. Richy makes a compelling argument about true Rhinos, likening former President Donald Trump to a Republican in name, but a Democrat at heart, who defied both parties. Spiritual awakening. Spiritual insight isn't left behind. Richy, Aaron, and Scott emphasize the importance of a relationship with God. They argue that spiritual awakening is essential for societal reform, noting, everything starts in the heart. First, there's people listening to this that probably don't believe that God's government guides everything. Scott wraps up with a prayer that encapsulates the essence of the podcast: courage, unity, and the spirit of righteousness. The call for courage to rise up is not just a spiritual one, but a rallying cry for social and political action. Conclusion. The episode ends with heartfelt prayers and a call to live out true Christian values. Richy, Scott, and Aaron emphasize that the fight isn't against people, but against ideologies that divide us. Their message is clear. America's brightest days are ahead of us if we just hold to the original intent of our country. For those following Standing in the Gaps, this episode serves as a solemn reminder to stand firm in their beliefs, unify in common goals, and act courageously for societal reform. The podcast remains a platform not just for talk, but for true action driven by faith and unity. Final note. As Richy signs off, he delivers a final word to his listeners: the best is yet to come. This mantra encapsulates the podcast's mission: constant hope and faith in a better tomorrow. Stay tuned for more episodes, which air Tuesdays at 6 p.m., and join the movement for a brighter, more unified future. For more insights and to stay updated with Standing in the Gaps, listeners are encouraged to like, subscribe, comment, and share their perspectives across various platforms like YouTube, Apple Podcast, Spotify, and Facebook. Instagram and X are coming soon. Engage with the Standing in the Gaps community and share your thoughts on this timely and thought-provoking discussion. You can comment on YouTube or on the new Standing in the Gaps Facebook group. Check out the merch store where we have some cool t-shirts. The link is in the description. The full episode of Hear Ye, the Rhinos Are Coming will air July 30th at 6 p.m. EST. And remember, my friend, the best with a capital B is yet to come.